chance for you to join the private invitation-only, star-studded music and dance till you drop, food and drink galore second anniversary celebration. To stay in the know about the second anniversary details, download the KBLA Talk 1580 app right now. Don't miss out on your chance to be a winner. At KBLA Talk 1580, when we come forward, we're bringing everybody with us.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
We boldly go where no man has gone before.
Boldly taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
I feel like
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to partner with the Empowerment Congress, the Gathering Spot, the Institute for Nonviolence, and Days of Dialogue for a Juneteenth program called State of the Freed to educate fellow citizens about the significance of the holiday and efforts around reparations for descendants of slaves living in California. Program participants include California Reparations Task Force member Assemblyman Reginald Jones Sawyer and State Senator Steve Bradford, along with KBLA's own Dominique DiPrima, Ariva Martin, Tavis Smiley, and many more. It all happens Saturday, June 10th, and you could be selected to attend this special invitation-only Juneteenth event along with Dominique, Ariva, and Tavis. All you have to do is go to the KBLA 1580 website, click on the Juneteenth State of the Freed icon on the homepage, and register to win entrance into this empowering affair. Or you can watch the live stream of this special Juneteenth event by going to www.empowermentcongress.org/Juneteenth. But head to the KBLA 1580 website right now for your chance to join us live on site Saturday, June 10th for the State of the Freed. This is a Juneteenth community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
I feel like freedom.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Follow the leader. Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
It's our anniversary.
Every weekday during the month of June, we're giving away gear from the KBLA.store to say thank you for your support of KBLA Talk 1580 as we celebrate our second anniversary. Each weekday, a different host will be giving away fresh merch to one lucky caller. All you have to do is keep it locked to KBLA Talk 1580 throughout the day, and our host will tell you when to dial in and when. It's our way of showing appreciation to you for helping make KBLA Talk 1580 the most trusted, credible, and reliable source of information for listeners just like you. Here's hoping you'll be one of our lucky winners. But you can always head over to the KBLA.store anytime for the best in KBLA Talk 1580 gear for yourself and great gift ideas. Now, celebrating 2 years of being your go-to, we're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Oh yeah, I get around. Still clown when the underground, when we come around. Stronger than ever. Back to get wrecked. All respect to those who break their neck to keep warriors in check. Cause what they sweat a brother majorly. And I don't know why your girl keeps paging me. She tell me that she needs me. Cries when she leaves me. And every time she sees me, she squeeze me. Lady, take it easy. Hate to sound sleazy, but tease me. I don't want it if it's that easy. Hey yo, bust it. Baby got a problem saying bye-bye. Just another hazard of a fly guy. Your ass wide don't matter. My pockets got fatter. Now everybody's looking for the ladder. And ain't no need in being greedy. If you wanna see me, try to keep a number, baby, when you need me. And I'll be there in a jiffy. Don't be picky, just be happy with this quickie. But when you learn, you can't time it down, baby doll. Check it out. I get around. What you mean you don't know? Check it go. I get around. The underground just I get around. Still down with the underground clown. Around they go. I get around. Yeah. Hey yo, shot. Let the flow know.
Now you can tell from my everyday fits, I ain't rich, so cease and desist with them tricks. I'm just another black man caught up in the mix, trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. Just cause I'm a freak don't mean that we can hit the sheets. Baby, I can see that you don't recognize me. I'm Shock G, the one who put the satin on your panties. Never knew a hooker that could share me. I get
What's up, love? How you doing?
Right.
Well, I've been hanging, singing, trying to do my thing. Oh, you heard that I was being your homegirl you went to school with. That's cool, but did she tell you about her sister and your cousin? Thought I wasn't. See, Weekdays was made for Michelob, but it's a Monday, my day. So just let me hit you, yo, and don't mistake my statement for a clown. We can keep it on the down low, long as you know that I get around.
KBLA Talk 1580. Tupac's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame is today, and I will be there. Yes, indeed. I don't get around, at least not anymore. Okay, that's another show for another day. So happy to have with us in studio a child advocate. She's an emotional wellness coach, a trauma-informed practitioner, and a mindfulness expert. She's the founder of Possibility HQRS, a bespoke coaching boutique, moving from actually the Bay to right here, right now. Regina Louise, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. You know, we hear a lot of conversation about this idea of trauma, right? It seems like we've always talked about mental health and self-care and mindfulness and all of these things, but now everything is trauma-centered, trauma-informed. And I think that's been a revolution in some ways. I read an article the other day from a mental health professional who says we've gone too far with it. It's almost like everything is about trauma. What do you say about that? You know, that approach to healing.
Well, just to respond to what you said about the article you read, everything that is traumatic is about trauma. I don't know how we can go too far unless people are claiming trauma as the culprit in their desire or lack of accountability. Trauma is trauma, and that is that. It impacts the executive functioning. It impacts the way that we experience the moment while the trauma is occurring. It affects how we have access to ourself, not only in the moment when the trauma is occurring, but epigenetically. It actually is passed on generation after generation. And so trauma is trauma.
Mm-hmm. I'm laughing because you say trauma is trauma, but your definition of it.
My definition is something occurs that is overwhelming to the executive functioning, our ability to make meaning of an experience that we're having. And in the moment, we experience something that is so overwhelming. That's the basic definition of trauma, to have an experience that is so overwhelming in the moment, we cannot make meaning of it, so that the energy of that, the experience of that gets trapped in the body, in the cell. They say the issues are in the tissues. Well, this is a moment where the issue gets absorbed into the tissue. And until we can confront it, sit with it, heal it, own it, it tends to wreak havoc.
And I think, you know, when you talk about the issue being in the tissue, I mean, you always hear people talking about generational trauma, and certainly as Black people, we've got multi-generational trauma going back to our enslavement and all the persecution and whatnot. But how do you see that being passed on? Is that in the DNA? Is it the behaviors? I mean, I feel like people who haven't even been raised with their parents seem to carry the same generational trauma. So how do you suppose that gets passed on?
So that to me is like a Thich Nhat Hanh moment. The answer is in the question. So if in utero, in that amniotic sac, if that fetus is exposed to everything that the mother is exposed to, floating around in this world within a body, within a world, then every single thing that mother is thinking, feeling, emotionally responding to, that fetus potentially will absorb that. So in some ways, that's the first line of absorption, the first line of passing that trauma on from my perspective.
You are an emotional wellness coach, a trauma-informed practitioner. When we come forward, I want to talk a little bit about what that means to be trauma-informed when we work on healing ourselves, healing our kids, and what that means to help folks do that. That's what we'll start when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to here with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
Your health is important, so keep yourself and your family covered with Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal renewals will be happening soon, so if you have Medi-Cal, make sure you don't miss any important renewal information. If you've moved in the last 3 years, check and update your mailing address, email address, and phone number. Learn more at keepmedicalcoverage.org. That's keepmedicalcoverage.org. Paid for by the California Department of Healthcare Services.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing in me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new place. Nothing is everyday.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be signs that your digestive system isn't working at its best? But taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil supports your daily digestive health using a special plant-based fiber called psyllium. Psyllium works by forming a gel in your digestive system to trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Metamucil's gelling action also helps to promote heart health and slows down sugar absorption to promote healthy blood sugar levels. Start feeling lighter and more energetic by taking Metamucil every day.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool. Yep, even easier than that. With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Sunday, June 18th, come out to Africa Town in Leimert Park for the Juneteenth Independence Revolution commemoration. The Independence Revolution will be part of a 3-day weekend to celebrate Juneteenth. Join in the national hashtag Wave of Freedom, where Black people across the country will stand in solidarity to demand reparations for Black American descendants of slavery. Hear from the frontline organizations who are fighting for better conditions for Black LA. Bring your dad to be part of the Honor Thy Fathers ceremony, which will acknowledge dozens of Black fathers in the community. See performances from some of LA's top local artists. Shop with a variety of local Black merchants selling food, clothes, art, and more. The Juneteenth Independence Revolution is a free event for the entire family. Sunday, June 18th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., come to Africa Town in Leimert Park to celebrate Black Independence Day. The Juneteenth Independence Revolution is brought to you by Africa Town Enterprise, the African Village Vendors Association at Leimert Park, Black Lives Matter KBLA, Downtown Crenshaw, and Destination Crenshaw.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for waking up with us. Regina Louise is our guest. You know what? I think you were just reminding me that we met before when your book came out, and many years ago. It was like 10 years ago or something?
Well, 2003.
Wow. 20 years ago.
Yes.
Okay, so that wouldn't have been KJ. Well, never mind. That wouldn't have been front page. I think that would have been street science. Anyway.
Street science.
Yeah, it would have been street science.
That's it.
Yeah, see, I got radio shows just like you got books. The memoir was Somebody's Someone.
That's right. That was made into a Lifetime movie. I Am Somebody's Child, the Regina Louise story.
And that was based on your experiences growing up. I mean, we started out talking about trauma. You had probably more than your fair share.
Right. 30 foster homes, a residential treatment center, solitary confinement. I could go on.
What happens at a residential treatment center?
Ooh. Wow.
Well, you don't have to go. I mean,
right.
you kind of don't sound like you want to talk about it.
Well, it's intense.
Yeah.
At that level, the assumption is that the child is steps away from being institutionalized at a state hospital level.
Okay.
At that level, you can make a lot of money off of a high-risk child, which normally are black children, that
Right.
they are quote-unquote hard to place. So at that time, they were receiving $25,000 for me, and there were 30 young women.
30 me's, right?
30 me's.
And so 30 foster homes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
I mean, because you're out of foster care by 18.
Right.
So that's 30, and you probably, I don't know what age you started, but that's
a lot.
Several per year.
That's right. Or month. Yeah. I was determined to not put myself in harm's way. And I knew I would not be protected. I knew my social worker reminded me that unlike the little white girls, I didn't have the luxury of exhibiting my crazy. So I needed to find a way to outsmart the system. So I broke into my file, I read my report, I used the DSM-2, it may have been at the time, to understand and decode my diagnoses, and then I would work to exhibit the behavior to counter what they saw.
So you knew what they were labeling you, and you were trying to correct
Absolutely.
that perception based
Absolutely.
on your reading of the diagnostic manual.
That's right, because I would see in my file oppositional, this, that, and then I would read it and take the notes and let's go.
Right.
I'm going to survive, period.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's been so much conversation about this lately here in LA because it seems like we haven't figured it out at all how to take care of children who are incarcerated or in foster care.
Look, Dominique, here's the thing. The way to take care of children is to be in relationship with children. Period. It's in relationships we are wounded. It's in relationships where we get healed. That's how this goes. The mirroring neurons. You hurt me, I need a repair. I don't get that repair. Hurting people hurt people.
Right. Absolutely.
But if we make that repair, right? Like you and I right now, I have goosebumps from the level of attunement we just dropped into.
Right.
This is how repairs are made.
I mean, it makes sense to me. I feel like we have gotten to a point where a lot of elders or grown folks are scared of young people. And I'm not here for that. Like, I'm going to be that crazy lady that's like, hey, how you doing? Hello. And I'm going to keep saying it until you say hello back. To me, that's a simple thing. But you're talking about relationship.
Right.
How do you do that in foster care?
You do it. I had a young girl call me who saw my movie found my phone number and called me 2 days ago. And I asked point blank, why are you calling me? She said, because from what I saw in the movie, I've read all of your books. You are me. I am you. Bam. That's relational.
Right.
That's her accepting her situation and finding a way to adapt. That's brilliant. Like, that's high EQ without her even knowing it. And I just said, I don't believe right now you're at that level. You're unhoused. You've blown out of 7 foster homes. Your foster mother had also found me and sent me a video where the young woman flipped the woman the bird, walked out of the car with her little shower bonnet on, and was on her way, right? And I'm looking at that thinking, I would go after the child. I would tackle her. Do you understand? She would not leave me. I wouldn't let her go. We have to be linebackers and wide receivers. It's not about the money. Not enough money in the world could help me. If I were a foster parent, I'd take that money, put it in a compounding interest account, and make sure that child has it up on the day that they decide or we decide they're going to go on to the next iteration, college, travel the world. This isn't about money. This is about emotional wealth.
Yeah. Of course, if you did tackle the kid, you could end up DCFS, right?
Let's go.
What does it mean to be a child advocate if you're not a foster parent, if you're not a probation worker, if you're just a regular person? What does it mean to be a child advocate? Because I feel like all of us do have to do better.
Yes, doing better. Again, it's relational. There are so many ways to be a child advocate. For me, it's about doing what I'm doing right now. It's writing my latest book, Hands on Heart, a 60-day self-love guided journal. So I don't travel as much because of COVID. So now, whereas I used to travel all over the country, night and day, advocating, standing in front of scores of people, now I'm thinking, how do I continue the work, but doing so as I reinvent my advocacy as a result of being post-COVID. So the book that I just mentioned, the journal, came out during Mental Health Awareness Month and Foster Care Awareness Month, which was May. And I thought, I've had enough experience. I mentor enough children. I have children all over the U.S. who either text me or Voxer me to ask me, how do I do this? How do I do that? And what I recognize is, advocate as we might, say as we might, speculate as we might, that the foster home is the safest haven as opposed to institutional or boarding care. Say what you will. I believe every single child in foster care, the 500,000 plus and the 300,000 plus who are children of color, it's self-love. It's self-love. I look at this journal I wrote as love in a handbook. If you couldn't talk to an adult, if you couldn't have the mirroring neurons, let's do it with you. Because if a child has made it to 12, 13, 14, 15, they can read, they can comprehend, they can understand. They're not suicidal, not gesturing, none of that. Then I believe that there's a possibility to have that baseline to begin to build a foundation of self. What I'm recognizing, a lot of the children do not have a sound sense of self. So there's
Even a lot of grown folks don't have that, honestly.
It's better if you say that. Go ahead.
Hands on heart at 60 days. Because that takes work. I mean, just most of us still just pop out of our mother's womb with a sense of self. Some do,
Right.
Most don't. Hands on Heart, a 60-day guided journal. That's for anyone?
Anyone.
Or is it focused mostly for kids?
No. This is 12 and up, PG-13. And the idea, when we place our hands on our heart space, what basically happens is the hormone oxytocin is released. And if I were to keep my hands crossed, one palm over the other, in my heart center, within 2 minutes, that hormone begins to secrete into my bloodstream and calm my central nervous system. If one is triggered, and then it's difficult to have a gap in between the impulse and the reaction. But as Viktor Frankl says, if between impulse and reaction, we can access the space in the middle, which is choice and freedom. At that point of choice, do I meet this potential threat, or at least this trigger, with the same energy with which it's coming at me? Or what if I place my hands on my heart and connect with the breath, allow the breath to breathe itself, close my eyes, drop in? I do the opposite of what my wiring would encourage me to do. And doing that 60 days will create new neural pathways, which is what healing is all about, is creating the new neural pathways so that we don't go to the same way. We don't get into the rut, go to the rut, but instead we create a different alternative.
Right. It's rewiring yourself so
is.
that you can have different kinds of experiences and reactions.
And it also cultivates a relationship with the self.
Regina Louise is our guest. You're invited in, 800-920-1580. Man, woman, heal thyself. KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The wife of an expert witness in the Derek Chauvin trial is speaking out in the case of 4 people accused of vandalizing her home in Santa Rosa, California. The group, which has its preliminary hearing this week, is accused of smearing pig's blood on the woman's home on a public art piece in downtown Santa Rosa in 2021. The woman testified in the suspect's hearing on Tuesday, saying she feared retribution when she found out her husband would be testifying in the trial of the former Minneapolis police officer who killed African-American George Floyd. It's officially the deadliest time of the year for teenage drivers. AAA says the 100 days between Memorial Day and Labor Day is when there are the most accidents involving teens. It's also when teens are more susceptible to risky behavior. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Life is uncertain. It's okay to feel stressed, anxious, worried, or frustrated. CalHope can help. Access CalHope's free and secure mental health resources. Call 833-317-4673 or live chat at calhope.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
There's been some chatter the past few days that the Miami Heat will have Tyler Hero for Game 3 tonight in the NBA Finals. The Heat confirmed that Hero will not play tonight against the Denver Nuggets. Hero, the Heat's number 3 scorer, is still recovering from surgery to repair 2 broken bones in his right hand. He was injured in the first round in April against Milwaukee. The Heat made it to the finals without Hero. They can afford to wait a little while longer to bring him back. Game 3 tonight in Miami at 5:30 on ABC. Cincinnati gets 3 in the bottom of the 9th for a comeback win against the Dodgers. Buffalo Bills defensive back DeMar Hamlin practiced with the team on Tuesday in off-season workouts. First full practice for Hamlin since his cardiac arrest on January 2nd in a Monday night game. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Everybody in the house, make some noise!
Is there a better day of the year to celebrate the anniversary of the only unapologetically progressive talk station west of the Mississippi, focused on issues that impact the black community?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
We think not. A station that amplifies black voices like yours with hosts and guests who look and sound like you. Celebrating our second anniversary on Juneteenth. We're KBLA Talk 1580. And you ain't seen nothing yet.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. The Los Angeles Public Library proudly presents the June Jubilee inaugural event commemorating Juneteenth. Join us on June 10th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Central Library as we celebrate the rich black culture in our city. This free event will include a special opening celebration featuring African drums procession and a libation ceremony at 9 a.m. along with speakers, workshops, live entertainment, and more for the whole family. Parking is only $1 with a validation. Learn more at lapl.org/Jubilee. That is lapl.org/JUBILEE.
Did you know addiction to drugs like meth or cocaine is a disease and not a choice? But getting help is. If you have stimulant use disorder, you, your family, and friends may have a lot of questions, including where to start. Choose Change California can help. Make a change today and find a proven treatment option for you at choosechangeca.org.
Hi, it's Dominique DiPrima from KBLA Talk 1580. It's going down on Juneteenth weekend, Saturday, June 17th at 11 a.m. for the Ribbon Cutting and Street Festival for the New Orleans corridor in Los Angeles. You know it. It's about time this important part of our story, our culture, was recognized by LA. Join Mayor Karen Bass, New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell, Councilwoman Heather Hutt, and Grammy Award-winning musicians Irvin Mayfield, Terrace Martin, and 1,500 or nothing for an amazing celebration. Go to NOLA2LAtickets.org to claim your free ticket. That's NOLA2LAtickets.org. I'll be your MC, and I will see you there. Saturday, June 17th at 11 a.m. It's the New Orleans corridor in LA for Juneteenth 2023.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Regina Louise is my guest, and I've been informed that you can actually still see the Lifetime film of your life story on Amazon Prime.
Right. I am somebody's child, the Regina Louise story.
That must be weird to have your story as a Lifetime movie. I mean, is it great or is it weird? Is everyone thinks they know you?
That part. Whereas they don't, because anybody who knows film knows that stories are bent to fit a particular network or production company or director's, idea. So, yes, this is an iteration. But to tell you the truth, Dominique, my story has not been told because I was told my story was too dark to tell. And so, I imagine that was intended on so many levels, but yeah.
Your story's too melanated.
Hey, come on. That's another way to say it, to put it, But yeah, I imagine at some point that my story, the depth, the true story will get its day.
Here's the thing, Regina Louise. When we've been through traumatic things in our lives, you probably have been through more than most, but most of us have some stuff. The challenge becomes, you want to tell your story because why? And then at a certain point we can get trapped, right? Where we're repeating and repeating and repeating stuff, the victim stuff, and not moving out of that space.
Now, this is a beautiful question that you're asserting, and I want to slow down because it is wrought with deliciousness. So, as a woman who identifies as blackety black all the way through, I was never given permission to be a victim. I was told, led to believe, that the people who cared for me were the victims. And therefore, I was the perpetrator, if you can imagine being told that. As a black woman, it's easy because of the degree of erasure that the dominant culture is invested in regards to me. It's easy to not language my difficulties in a way that serves the person who wants to benefit off my back, keep me caught up systematically. So if I don't know my boundaries, where I end and begin, because I didn't have a family to mirror that back to me, it's so easy to become a prisoner, to become entwined, to become seductively Stockholmed to the trauma itself.
So, and that's what I'm talking about, because even if society doesn't give you permission to be a so-called victim, and we do see this a lot, especially with black women, you're always the criminal. Doesn't matter what happens. The angry black woman is a threat.
Pathologized, continuously.
Yes, absolutely. But I'm talking about our internal process. If I'm constantly telling myself I was a victim of molestation as a child, and I say that because I was, and I say that over and over and over again to myself, at some point that becomes an identifier for me, instead of what I'm talking about is our own process of healing. So for me, as opposed to external definitions, so for me to get to the point of saying I am a victor, not a victim, because I feel that I have overcome, or I'm in the process of overcoming all of the trauma that I have received and continue to receive as a black woman in America.
What you just said is beautiful, and it is a highly evolved, highly intellectual process. Then my question would be, what was the bridge you built, or the many bridges you built? What were the stepping stones?
How do you get from point A to point B?
That you built from being that victimized
little kid
to this adult who is thriving. So there is this idea with trauma, the perseveration of the trauma. And that basically says that when we continually perseverate, go on, as you were saying, you keep being the victim. We do that when there hasn't been an interruption in the perseveration. It hasn't been someone who can hold space and be the benevolent witness for you.
So I mean, they listen to me talk all day, every day. I don't have you here every day. So talk to me about your process, how you built that bridge for yourself.
Let's go.
From trauma to healer.
I already said that I advocated for myself when I broke into the psychiatrist's room. See, that's what they left out of the movie, is my agency. I broke into the psychiatrist's office, but before we even get to that, I broke into the psychiatrist's office after I became a stellar student and the junior league awarded me their highest award. I took that money, bought the lock that was on the refrigerator as well as on the file cabinet and spent months learning how to pick it. So let's just get that down. So once I learned how to pick the damn lock in order to break into the file, I then took the file, read the file, made my notations, used the DSM at that time that was available, understood what needed to be done. But in that understanding, I began to feel something that I would not understand until much later. I began to partner with my spirit. Okay? I recognize, oh, there's something else here holding me afloat. There's something else that wants what's good for me. I'm going to believe it, because what I was believing is I was bad, I was unwanted, I didn't deserve the air I breathe.
Right.
But I noticed that as these inspirations would say, do this, do this, do this, and I would do it, and it would lead to my own liberation. So that began my relationship with my own sense of self, my intuition, my relationship with empathy, which, by the way, you have a lot of.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that piece about, deciding, because we look at you, you're beautiful. You're a beautiful woman. And people would say, well, why would she think? Of course, she's probably stuck up. She probably thinks she has it all. But there are so many people that you define as beautiful or having it all or whatever that have exactly that situation of not believing that they're worth it.
Right. And again.
Or worthy.
Worthy. And a synonym for worthy is dignity. Right? And
interesting.
I believe my name is Regina, which means queen. My mother intentionally named me that because I believe she suspected that was all she was ever going to be able to give me, is a name with such royal power. I wanted to live up to that name, Dominique. I wanted to be the queen. I mean, I kind of roll like that. Most people who meet me, the first thing they will say is, she was not raised by black people, which I don't know what that means. And what they really don't know is I raised myself.
So then technically you were raised by black people.
Come on now. Come on now. But only when you're in my in-group do we get to have that conversation, right?
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll talk about how you can get in with that in-group, how you can maybe access the wellness coaching, the practice that you do, mindfulness, work that you do when we come forward, about the HQRS Bespoke Coaching Boutique.
Yes.
And which is now in operation in Los Angeles,
That's right.
in the Los Angeles area. Regina Louise is my guest. I'm Dominique DiPrima, and this is KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Have you faced discrimination in Los Angeles? The City of LA Civil Rights Department can help. They investigate private sector discrimination in LA City in commerce, education, employment, and housing. If you're facing discrimination, submit a complaint online for free at laisforeveryone.com. That's laisforeveryone.com or call 213-978-1845. Despite pushback from franchise owners, the Assembly passes Fast Food Workers Bill. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by CaliforniaBlackMedia.org. Assembly Bill 1228, known as the Fast Food Franchisor Responsibility Act, authored by Assemblymember Chris Holden, was passed off the Assembly floor with 42 votes in favor of the legislation, while 22 members of the Assembly voted against the bill. Some reasons Holden and supporters of this bill find it necessary is due to the reported wage theft of fast food workers, claims of violence at work, sexual harassment and assault claims, denied sick days, intense heat, poor workplace safety practices, as well as claims of retaliation for speaking out. Holden was reported saying, quote, "This does not imply that all fast food franchises mistreat their workers. It's clear that we must ensure our fast food workers are able to thrive in their workplace and their communities," end quote.
The party of the summer is back. The Hollywood Bowl Jazz Festival returns on June 17th and 18th. with an incredible lineup curated by Kamasi Washington and Herbie Hancock. See Kamasi himself, Belle Biv DeVoe, West Coast Get Down with Raphael Sadiq and Leon Bridges, St. Paul and the Broken Bones, Samara Joy, Diggable Planets, Poncho Sanchez, Aziza, The Soul Rebels with Big Frida, and many more. Hosted by Arsenio Hall. Get your tickets now at HollywoodBowl.com. Hollywood Bowl, forever summer.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
KBLA Talk 1580. The convo is deep, off the air and on the air, talking with Regina Louise. You said only the inner circle gets to be, you know, to call you queen, to know what your actual title means. How do we get to that inner circle, or at least get to the counseling that you offer?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well,
yeah, go ahead. I can hear you fine.
Okay.
We're having a little technical difficulty, but
okay,
it doesn't affect on
there.
air.
Okay, great. I can be reached via my website, www.IamReginaLouise.com. Again, www.IamReginaLouise.com. And also, you can hit me up on Instagram, The Real Regina Louise, at The Real Regina Louise, and we'll set up a fit call and do what we need to do to see if we're a great fit, and then decide on the engagement that fits you best. That's how I recommend people to.
So, I mean, is it generally counseling? Is it
coaching?
Journaling? Is it coaching?
It's heavy duty, deep dive coaching.
Yeah. So customized to wherever you're trying to get from point A to point B with.
That's right. And I also am a Hoffman process teacher. And if you want to know more about that, you can go to www.thehoffmaninstitute.org. So I do a lot of my work, which I will be on my way to tomorrow to the Bay Area, to work for 7 days, 12 hours a day, 181 hours in a week. And I work with individuals, to help them realign and reconnect and reaffirm what it means to be a spiritual being having a human experience.
I say this about social justice, but I think it's true about our well-being too. Which is you don't get to just fix a thing and then leave it and it's going to be good. It's like cleaning your house. You have to keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. And, for me, it's all about language. And I don't believe there's anything to fix because I don't think there's anything broken. I think we get misaligned. I think things become confusing and disordered. And it becomes a matter of how we untangle ourselves from around the axle of a thing. One of something that I think is really important that I am putting my attention on lately is this idea of what it means to be embodied, because my work is about being embodied. Like I said to you,
is that like being present?
I received goosebumps sitting across from you because of the capacity with which you listen as a benevolent witness, the level of eye contact you hold. Again, goosebumps. So it's this idea, embodiment, is the ability to tolerate sensation in the body.
Interesting.
So you, from my experience in this time together, and I know when I'm speaking truth because my erector pili, the hair, comes up on my arm, which, by the way, is only possible for 50% of the population. I digress. The ability to embody a quality of one's spirit, to tolerate the sensation of what it means to be a felt sense, to feel, to sense the essence of who we are within our own skin. It's pretty provocative and not necessarily an easy thing to become aware of.
Right.
But the more mindful we become with who we are, the more tolerance we have for who we are and what's possible.
Well, yeah, and the reason that I'm smiling is because it seems logical that that's why we self-medicate. That's why we like to watch endless Netflix. It's because it's a way of disconnecting from being present in that feeling without admitting it, kind of.
Right.
Just running away.
It's the running away. I'm going to pick up on the running away. There is a shortage right now of Adderall. There's a shortage of Adderall and Ritalin, which are the drugs more commonly prescribed for ADD and ADHD. And it's amazing. So that suggests to me that clearly more and more adults are being prescribed this. And my curiosity says, but what would it be like to slow it down? I mean, for those who really need it, we can't argue that. But what would it be like to slow it down and increase the aperture, if you will, so that whatever is happening in the background becomes less of an issue. It becomes the white noise that it oftentimes is. And what if, as we widen that aperture, the essence of who we truly are gets pulled into the forefront, and we get to be with what shows up? I was apparently ADD and ADHD, but I refused to take the medication. And my tolerance level for myself increased exponentially, and it was not easy. It was work. It was a fight. But I have learned to work with the essence of self and to partner with the essence of self to the best of my ability. Hold presence, even the tumultuous sensations, but hold them and love them. Self-love.
Regina Louise is my guest. When we come forward, she'll give us some final things to contemplate before we pass the mic to Tavis Smiley. That's next on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCES scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
If your Medi-Cal is ending, Cover California is here to help. Cover California is a service from the state that helps you get affordable health insurance. In many cases, at no cost to you, just like with Medi-Cal. We have quality health plans and will help you every step of the way to get the one that works for you and your family. So, if you're no longer eligible for Medi-Cal, check out Cover California. We'll keep you covered. Learn more at coveredca.com.
Gotta stay fresh,
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
It does, and we're almost out of time, so I'm going to pass the mic to you, Regina Louise. What do you want to leave us with this morning? And don't forget, IamReginaLouise.com is where you can find the book, where you can find get in contact with the life coaching and so much more.
And executive coaching. Well, I think we covered quite a bit. I am grateful that you have this space, and I'm grateful that you welcomed me to your unapologetically progressive KBLA talk radio. It's total awesome sauce. I think what's important is that we collectively, for those who already are and for those who are looking for a gateway into radical self-love and self-care, let's have a conversation. Also, grab a copy of Hands on Heart, a 60-day self-love guided journey. I just feel to go home to the self. I am right now in a very advanced meditation teacher training with Jack Cornfield and Tara Brock, for those of you who know who those teachers are. And first day in the training, Tara said she had read something that intimated all forms of sickness are a form of homesickness. That right there stopped me. And then I thought, what would it be to truly believe that and to take that as a truth that I would be willing to live up to? When I came up with Hands on Heart, it was to bring myself home. I'm currently going through a relationship change, and instead of going back to the situation I'm leaving, I wrote this book so that every time I wanted to call him up, instead I'd place my hands on my heart and call myself up and go home.
Thank you. We have to leave it there. Tavis Smiley's next. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The wife of an expert witness in the Derek Chauvin trial is speaking out in the case of 4 people accused of vandalizing her home in Santa Rosa, California. The group, which has its preliminary hearing this week, is accused of smearing pig's blood on the woman's home on a public art piece in downtown Santa Rosa in 2021. The woman testified in the suspect's hearing on Tuesday, saying she feared retribution when she found out her husband would be testifying in the trial of the former Minneapolis police officer who killed African-American George Floyd. It's officially the deadliest time of the year for teenage drivers. AAA says the 100 days between Memorial Day and Labor Day is Nation Network and BINnews.com.